Is Stripe too expensive? As the owner of a payment company, DirectPayNet, I get asked all the time, what can you offer that Stripe doesn't offer? Now, amongst many other things, if you are a US merchant and selling mainly to Americans, you are paying too much money if you're using Stripe. Now, there are some exceptions, which I'm going to talk about below, but most US businesses selling to Americans can have better pricing, better service, and just an overall better experience working with a payment processor like DirectPayNet. What you don't realize as a business is that you can negotiate your payment processing fees. Many times merchants just sign up and willy-nilly sign any contract, don't really read the terms and conditions, don't read what they're going to be paying, and then end up with huge, costs and for payment processing. Stripe charges 2.9% plus 30 cents a transaction. And there's also additional fees that can rack up an extra 2% for telephone transactions, or what we call MOTO transactions, mail order telephone transactions. If you have foreign transactions, if you have transactions that require a currency exchange, if you're accepting a different currency than US dollars. So these fees can be exorbitant at the end of the month. And there are things that you can do to reduce that. And there are other options that are just as easy, just as quick to set up as Stripe. Now, this episode, I'm going to focus mainly on American businesses selling mainly to Americans, but I will have another episode in the future where I talk about merchants that are outside of the US and if you're selling to non-Americans primarily. But if you're doing 80% or more of your volume in the US, then listen up. I'm going to save you quite a bit of money, and I'm going to give you a few tricks on what you can do to negotiate your fees if you're already working with a merchant account provider. Now, let me explain what Stripe is. Stripe is what we call in the payment world a payment aggregator or a third-party processor. What this means is that Stripe is not the actual company that's processing the payment. They have a license to resell payment processing services to various businesses and merchants in the US. Now, why that's a good thing is because onboarding is very quick. Usually you just have to answer a couple of questions and you're good to go within an hour. On the flip side of that, obviously their pricing is stagnant and set, so you can't negotiate. And also, on another note, you're going to have a hard time speaking to somebody or getting any service once you're set up because everything is done online with very little human intervention. The issue with that model is that your performance is judged based on their portfolio as a whole. So anybody else selling on Stripe can actually impact anything that happens to your business. For example, if they have merchants that are running a lot of chargebacks or they're having a couple of bad months, meaning merchants are seeing higher levels of chargebacks or disputes as they call them, then Stripe might see you as a riskier merchant than you actually are. For example, if you get a couple of disputes every month and all of a sudden you get 15, they might see that as high risk and start putting restrictions on your account without asking you what's happening or without being able to work with you. So they may, for example, freeze your funds. They may put a hold on your account. They may, have you provide a lot of documentation that may take you days to collect. So this is obviously, with everything that comes easy, there are challenges that may come later on. And I get calls and emails almost on a daily basis with merchants telling me, Stripe shut down my account. Stripe's holding my money. My business is now, down to its knees. We have no payment processing options. So obviously, if you're working with Stripe and you're kind of on the fence about getting a merchant account, you should get a merchant account at least as a backup option, because you never want to have something as important as payment processing rely on one provider. So you probably have backup servers, you probably have backup customer service people, you have backups for pretty much every process in your business. Payment processing is literally the lifeblood of your business if you're an online merchant. So you definitely need to have a backup. So if you're not ready to move on from Stripe right now, you should still set up something to make sure that you're able to move on to another provider should something happen. Now, the difference between Stripe and your own merchant account provider is regardless of who you work with in the US, any payment processor, they have call centers, they have people that you can speak with, and usually you can get assigned an account manager that is the person that you can reach out to when you're having an issue, or you can ask questions to, and so forth. So you're actually speaking with a human versus an AI bot or canned responses that send you into a never-ending loop of never being able to find the information. That is obviously a huge advantage. There are also other benefits to using a merchant account provider. For example, you can negotiate, as I said earlier, the terms and the pricing of your account. So if you have, disputes that are a little bit higher than what they should be, then, you can also negotiate a set reserve or payment terms that is going to make you happy, that are better than what you currently have, for example, with Stripe, but still benefit you because you're able to negotiate and get something better than what you have right now. Also, in terms of pricing, again, depending on how many disputes, how many refunds, and what your performance is, most of the time, merchant account providers can give you a better price and better conditions than you have right now with Stripe. If you have a couple of bad months, for example, traditionally disputes are higher in January or February. After the holidays, people look back at their credit card statements and start disputing transactions and so forth. You can weather these storms a lot better with your own merchant account provider than with Stripe. With your own merchant account provider, we're well aware of the months that are a little bit that cause peaks. So we give merchants and businesses leeway to, have a little bit more than their normal pattern without causing too many problems. And, if you foresee an issue, or if you had a problem in your sales funnel and you see people that are going to come in and dispute, then you have, once again, a human being that you can call and contact so you can be able to discuss and find a solution before the problem gets out of hand. Now, one challenge I always hear is that businesses tell me, but Stripe is so easy to set up, it's fast, it's integrated with everything. Now, you're going to be surprised that most merchant account providers are integrated to pretty much every shopping cart that you'll imagine. So for example, with DirectPayNet, if you come to me and you tell me which shopping cart you choose, I will find an integration for you. And most merchant service providers will do the same thing. They will give you the options for the checkout carts that they're integrated to. And if they're not, then you can probably find a quick roundabout way to get to them. So, the old adage of, Stripe is fast to integrate. Yes, that's true. But now, merchant account providers have caught up to that. So that's really not a challenge anymore. And most merchants are very quickly set up within an hour or so, depending on their shopping cart and their internal setup. But it really, really doesn't take long. Now, there are some use cases and there are situations where Stripe is your ideal provider. So I am contradicting a little bit what I've been saying. But if you're testing out a new product, or if you're a new business and you really don't know how this is going to work out, your best bet is to start with Stripe, because with a merchant account, you do actually have to fill out an application, get a couple of documents. It's fairly simple. It won't take that long. But if you're really kind of just testing and you don't know how this product or service may work, then you might want to start with Stripe and then kind of move on to your own payment processor. Also, if you have no processing history, it's harder to negotiate pricing and terms. So if you do get a couple of months of processing history with Stripe, then you're able to take that processing history and present it to a merchant account provider so they can bid on your business. Choosing a merchant account provider is more than just, negotiating price. There are a lot of things that a merchant provider can do for you. They can analyze your declines. They can give you ways to increase your approval ratio so you get more transactions approved, more sales, more money. So not all merchant account providers are created equal, but in essence, if you find a good partner that's willing to work with you, you will at least save money on your payment processing fees and hopefully find a partner that's able to help you grow, not just by saving money on payment processing fees. So now if you're tired in this endless loop of contacting Stripe and not getting the right answers and so forth, feel free to contact me or one of my team members at DirectPayNet. We'll be happy to take an analysis of your current business, what your volume is, your dispute levels, and so forth, and present you with a great offer. And once again, talk with you directly so we can come up with something that would make sense for your business and make you happy. If you have questions or you want more helpful information on how to convert more sales, how to make more money on your checkout page, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and my contact information is below. And please don't forget to share with all your contacts. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's MariaSparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.